Welcome back to Morrowind. This is a pretty fun video, I think. I learned a lot of these tips when I was younger playing this game, and this is how to break Morrowind as the vanilla game allows. I normally play with mods installed that sort of help the experience a little bit, but I have turned all of those mods off, and this is the game as it is played in its raw form. So get ready for some goofy stuff. Today we're going to be joining Bro Ken, and we are truly going to experience how broken this game can be. So to start off, just for fun, I don't normally pick an orc, but I am going to be playing an orc today. It doesn't really matter. You can pick any you want. The end result is going to be exactly the same. I thought there might be a chance that I might need to fight some things before I am able to set up the exploits that I'm going to, so that's why I chose it, just in case I had to berserk. As for this part, it doesn't really matter either. I wanted to make sure I had 2 skills as major skills. I wanted to make sure I had Restoration, and I wanted to make sure I had Mysticism, but that's about it. So everything else is just window dressing. It's just there to look at. I did want to make sure that Strength and Endurance were my boosted stats, just because I wanted to make sure I had the most health I could at the start, which can come into play later, but as you'll see, again, it really doesn't matter. So let's get started. How exactly are we going to break this game? Well, I thought about doing one thing at the beginning. You can actually kind of shimmy your way through the wall here, and the first playthrough I did do that, but there's a reason why I decided to not. The start of this is going to be like the start of many other playthroughs that you'll see, leaving the Census and Excise office, and of course, visiting our favorite friend, Tyrael. I'm also going to be running around town getting some of the money that I can get very easily early game. That way I can afford some early game spells, like this one from Urel. That'll come back later. I also take Fargoth's gold before heading straight to Balmora. In Balmora, I loot all of the trash containers. I guess that's what they are, so I can sell the stuff later. And I join the Mages Guild. This is a very important step, because when you're part of the Mages Guild, you can save a lot of money creating spells, and that is going to be the bulk of this. But before I can make my spells, I need to sell some things in order to afford the base spell effects that I want to use. You can see that I'm looking for some of them here, but I do need to go to Caldera and go to Creeper just because it's the fastest way to make some money. Creeper will buy all of your things for 100% value, and it's just the easiest way to make some money early. That's what I'm going to utilize this for. You don't need too much money to get this going, maybe about 5,000 to 10,000 gold, depending on how thorough you want to be. And once again, I'm looking through the spell vendors in the Mages Guild to see what spell effects I want. Once in Balmora again, the most important spell is right here. Soul Trap at this spell vendor. There's a few other things that might help, like resistances. I buy an Absorb spell because I think maybe I can get that to work. And there's also a few more spell vendors over at the Balmora Temple, so I go check them as well. But let's talk about your mortality in this game while I get some gold from Caius. There's really only one thing that can kill you in this game: running out of health. So we want to make that a non-issue. There's 2 steps into doing this: reliably avoiding all physical damage and reliably avoiding all magical damage. Physical damage is pretty easy. Magic damage is a little bit harder. So what we're going to do right now is just bolster our willpower permanently by creating a 5-point on self buff to willpower, and follow that with a 2-second on target soul trap. This 2-second on target soul trap is what makes the bug work. If you include this spell effect with any other spell effect, when you cast the spell, the first part will become permanent. Now, the spell has to contact a wall, not an enemy, and then it will just last forever. I'm raising my willpower because Alteration, Mysticism, and Restoration all have willpower as their governing attribute. So the higher your willpower is, the more likely you are able to cast that spell, regardless of your actual level in that skill. So, having a decently high willpower, I can upgrade, make a slightly better version of the spell to increase my willpower by 100 points for 1 second on self, with a 2-second soul trap to make every time I cast the spell dump 100 points into my willpower. This essentially makes it guaranteed that I will be able to cast any spell once I hit around 1000 willpower, providing I have the magicka to cast it, of course. So what's first? How about I make 4 spells, 1 for each attribute. Endurance doesn't count. But now I can have as much magicka as I want with intelligence. I can carry as many things as I can loot with strength. I can go super fast with speed and agility. That's the important one. That's going to let me hit and never be hit. Here's my stat lines at the end. I didn't do anything with endurance or luck because it's not really needed. Some other helpful effects I chose to put on myself were feather. I also have resist fire, frost, and magicka, as well as shock to avoid any incoming magic damage. I did forget to do poison, but this is what it looks like when mages try to attack you. I need a weapon, so I just make a simple bound dagger spell, and this bound dagger will stay with me forever. So, here's a test of power against Bull and Venom. As you can see, it went extremely well. I have myself a new set of fancy clothes, as well as some armor, if I feel like wearing it, which, you know, I might as well. And now I can move on to the next phase of the plan, which is to encounter Vivek. I need to remove the witnesses from the front of this area. That way I can pick the door that leads to the Arcanon's quarters. And I will also remove him, because he has a key that I need. Once we have the key, we can go into Vivek's palace, and to take the shortcut, we need to kill Vivek. He can cast all the magic he wants on us, but none of the effects on the spell he uses will do anything to us. I did make a mistake the first time I tried to do this, while I did not have the ability to save, and I had to start over because there was no save file for me to load. but that's okay. So we go to Yagrum Begarn in order to activate the mysterious Dwemer artifact that Vivek drops. This is actually Wraithguard. Yagrum can reactivate Wraithguard if you can bring him Kagernak's Planbook and Kagernak's Journal. So we're off to Red Mountain to gather those books, as well as Keening and Sunder, since we're going to need those later anyway. Now, if you didn't know, if your personality is high enough, you can actually talk to the Ash vampires, as well as many of the other Ash creatures, and several NPCs that are meant to be hostile when you first encounter them. I also ran into a mud crab in the middle of Red Mountain, which I thought was extremely strange, but I figured maybe it was just because I was level 1, so. This all goes very smoothly. This clip is kind of funny because it's kind of hard to see. My dagger has really low condition, so it's actually doing bad damage. And this is where I also noticed I forgot to add a poison resistance effect on myself, but I already have a solution to that. I also made a spell that will fortify my health 100 points, which basically just gives me 100 points of health anytime I need health. So I try to fight with fists for a little while. This is also where I realize you actually have to hit a wall. You can't hit a creature for the spell to work correctly. So I didn't actually know that. I didn't know that you had to hit a surface object. I thought you could hit whatever. You can cast the spells directly into the air, and they eventually hit the skybox, so that's why they work if you just shoot them up into the sky. But you can't actually hit an enemy, otherwise it doesn't work. But as a comparison, that's how fast an Ash Ghoul goes down, and the Ash Vampire with a good dagger. And another Ash Vampire. And a third Ash Vampire. Well, technically that was the fourth, but, you know, whatever. So with all the books that we need in hand, as well as Kagernak's tools, at least the weapon parts of the tools, I make my way back to Talfir in order to talk to Yagrum. Yagrum gladly restores Wraithguard's enchantments. And now we have a new set of armor. Well, set's generous, it's really just a glove. But if you don't notice up there, my health is a number out of 0. In the vanilla version of the game, when you have Wraithguard restored in this way, it damages your health rather than just draining it. I also decided to go upstairs to pay Diviath Fur a visit in order to take his cool armor, because it matches the armor that I have. That's the only reason why I did this. Plus, I'm not going to need him in 10 minutes from now, so who cares? We're just gonna go ahead and take what we want because it looks cool. So we get his suit of Daedric armor. We loot his stuff, we don't actually take it, and then we need to get back to Red Mountain. So, Scroll of Ukrainian flight time. This is definitely the fastest way there, and I have a levitate item ready to use for when we're about to land. That way, I don't take any fall damage. And I can sort of just use that speed that I had, that trajectory I had, and make it all the way to Dagoth-Ur. In this case, I suppose it is both the Citadel and the entity that I'm talking about. I'm trying to get to Dagoth-Ur to fight Dagoth-Ur. So we run through with little issue, and Dagoth-Ur is here. I don't know why he thinks I'm not prepared. All I need is this butter knife to take him on. But with that done, all that's left is to finish the job. I try to see how much damage I can deal to Dagoth-Ur without weakening the heart. Give up. Jump down. I also try to get him to run off the edge, and he just doesn't want to run off the edge today. I do eventually give up and touch down because I realize his spells can't hurt me anyway, and I just destroy the heart. One strike from Sunder, the rest from Keating, until the heart just starts to explode. And then Dagoth-Ur does too, I suppose. So, there's a Kukulkan falling apart. And then I win.
You no longer bear the burden of prophecy. You have achieved your destiny. You are free. Come, take this thing from the hand of God.
This was Breaking Morrowind as Azura intended, and I hope you enjoyed. You can see all my stats there. I did eventually buff my luck, but didn't show it, so. That was pretty much it. There's all my spells. That's all. I did actually try to do part of Mournhold. The problem was I forgot to save it at any point while I was in Mournhold itself, so it wouldn't have been difficult, it just would have taken time. I didn't have any more time, I had run out of time. So I made it to a certain point and then my game just kind of froze, but here's some bonus footage of that happening. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what I should try next. I have been really enjoying the Morrowind videos. I have one more idea for a Morrowind video in the short term, which you'll probably see next week. I've been training for a new job, so I've had very little time to play RuneScape. I'll bring those videos back eventually. It's just I need to focus on some other things in my life right now, and I can't really spend time playing RuneScape, unfortunately. But it's only temporary. I'll be able to get back into it soon enough. But if you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing. Liking the video helps as well, but I do once again hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.